Hello guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing 3 of some of the best solo PvE builds in the Division 2 for Year 7 Season 3. These builds are super fun to play with, and they deal out an amazing amount of damage. With this amount of damage, it makes them perfect for farming greater difficulty endgame activities like retaliation, kill squads, bounties, all that jazz. So guys, thank you for being here, and without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so this first setup looks pretty basic at first, but it stacks a lot of amplified weapon damage. So using the Overdogs exotic gloves, you will get a significant boost in amplified weapon damage, and you're getting that towards lower tiered enemies. And with the addition of both the spotter and flatline talents, your amplified weapon damage gets boosted even further. However, there is a downside. This build has very low survivability, so it would be in your best interest to play this setup from mid to long range. So if that fits your playstyle, great. If not, no worries, because I'm going to show you another version of this setup that should allow you to play a little more close range. But this is why I went with the fortified smart cover. It gives you some bonus armor while you're in cover, so it only helps add some survivability. But again, even though there's very low survivability on this setup, there's also a ton of weapon damage. And as the old saying goes, a great offense makes a great defense, or something like that. But for the weapons, I'm currently running both the Caretaker and Lexington for my primary and secondary. The Caretaker is basically a name model of the enhanced G36. But what makes the Caretaker so special is that it comes with the talent Perfect Killer. So you will get 90% critical hit damage for 10 seconds when you eliminate an enemy with a critical hit, and the timer refreshes after each critical hit kill. And for the Lexington, I'm running Flatline. And Flatline will amplify your weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. So you have the option of either going with Flatline or Killer if, for whatever reason, you don't want to use Flatline. But if you have the Caretaker, I would definitely go with that. If not, your next best option is to try alternatives like the Lexington, Carbine 7, or the Police M4. And just roll the Flatline talent or Killer, whichever you prefer. The normal Killer is great as well, but again, you're getting 20% more from the Caretaker, which may not seem like much, but when you start getting those chain kills, the damage snowballs fast. Like even at long range, you can see some crazy high damage numbers. Now, another thing that makes this build work so well is the linked laser pointer attachment. So this is an attachment you get from the Technician Weapon Specialization. And this attachment goes on the underbarrel of long rail weapons and will help you pulse enemies by aiming your weapon at them. So you want to make sure you have this attachment equipped, or if not, you can go with another weapon specialization and just run the pulse skill. But that won't be as viable because of the skill cooldown. Now for the mask, a unit alloys piece rolled with armor, both critical hit chance and damage, plus a critical hit chance mod. Then for the vest, a named closer chest piece that comes with Perfect Spotter with armor and crits. So with Perfect Spotter, you're getting an increased 20% amplified weapon damage and skill damage to pulsed enemies. So this is why having the linked laser pointer attachment is so crucial. It allows you to pulse enemies by aiming at them so you get that damage increase from Spotter. Now for the next piece, a named Picaro's holster with armor and critical hit damage. Plus, you get a 10% weapon damage attribute that always comes with this named piece. So this 10% weapon damage attribute will always drop with the Picaro's holster. Then for the knee pads, a Fenris Group AB piece, rolled with armor and crits. And you're also getting a 10% assault rifle damage increase from the one piece bonus, which helps boost the damage just a little further. For the gloves, the Overdogs exotic piece that will amplify your weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemies currently in combat, with weapon damage and crits. Then last but certainly not least, for the backpack, a second unit alloys piece with weapon damage and crits. And you'll be getting both a 5% rate of fire, as well as an additional 20% assault rifle damage increase for having 2 pieces equipped. And for the talent, Unstoppable Force, which will increase your total weapon damage by 5% per kill for 15 seconds. This can stack up to 5 times. So that's like a 25% increased weapon damage at full stacks. So with Spotter, Killer, Overdogs, and Unstoppable Force, the damage is truly incredible. For the stats, a 56% critical hit chance, and 141% critical hit damage on the Caretaker, then 51% critical hit chance, and 151% critical hit damage on the Lexington. You may notice that I'm running more critical hit chance on the Caretaker, and that's because Killer only activates if you get the kill with a crit. So you want to be as close to 60% crit chance as possible on any weapon you're using with Killer, regardless of which weapon you choose. But again, Flatline is a great option if you want even more amplified weapon damage. With Flatline, Spotter, and Overdogs, you get a great amount of damage increase. Now, if you want to add survivability, you can try this version. So instead of the Perfect Spotter Vest and Fenris, you can try the named Equalizer Vest with Perfect Obliterate and 2 pieces of Bellstone for the armor regeneration and armor on kill bonus. So I'm getting a 10% armor on kill bonus from Bellstone, plus I'm getting an additional 10% from the Gunner Weapon Specialization tree. And if you have the name Liquid Engineer Bag, that's a bonus, because this name Bellstone Bag comes with Perfect Bloodsucker, so you're essentially getting about like 120% bonus armor at full stacks. So with all that additional bonus armor and the Ballistic Crusader shield, it allows you to play a little more aggressively. With the added survivability, it's a lot safer to play close range. Now, what about something that can be played at any range without sacrificing too much damage? This next build is a force to reckon with, and it takes advantage of one of the most powerful gear sets in the Division 2, Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker is so powerful that it's easily the #1 contender to Striker. This gear set is truly one of a kind, and that's because it's the only gear set that grants you an increased amount of bonus armor and weapon damage. However, the catch to that is you can only build stacks of increased bonus armor and weapon damage by landing shots on pulsed enemies, and the amount that you get is pretty significant, especially if you're running the backpack. With the backpack, you get more bonus armor, but with the chest piece, you get a talent that further enhances your damage and survivability. Heartbreaker is very similar to Striker, so you'll need to build stacks. So I'm running the Rock and Roll for my secondary, and it's basically the named model of the ACS-12 shotgun. So with Heartbreaker, if you want to build stacks quickly, you'll definitely need an ACS-12 shotgun with the linked laser pointer attachment. This will just make life way easier for you. However, with Heartbreaker, you can also pulse enemies by landing headshots, but since the pulse only lasts for 5 seconds, it's not as effective as using the linked laser pointer attachment, but it's still manageable without it. So if you find it better getting headshots to pulse enemies, then you have the option to go with another weapon specialization. But for the primary weapon, I'm running the Lexington with the Flatline talent. Flatline will amplify your weapon damage by 15% to pulsed enemies. So this goes well with Heartbreaker since you're already needing to pulse enemies, and it just further increases your damage. For alternatives, you can go with the Kingbreaker, but the Carbine 7 and even the FAL are great alternatives as well. For the mask, a Heartbreaker piece with armor and critical hit damage, plus a critical hit damage mod. Another great aspect of Heartbreaker is that you're getting 15% assault rifle damage and weapon handling for having 3 pieces. For the vest, another Heartbreaker piece with armor and crits. Then for the holster, the named Salvo high-end holster rolled with armor and critical hit chance. Plus, this named piece comes with a 5% rate of fire attribute. Then for both the knee pads and gloves, armor and critical hit chance. And for the backpack, another unit alloys piece with weapon damage and crits. So since I have 2 unit alloys pieces equipped, I get a bonus 5% rate of fire and 20% assault rifle damage attribute. And for the talent, Unstoppable Force. So killing an enemy increases your total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. You can also go with Bloodsucker instead, but you'll be missing out on a lot of damage, plus you're already getting a nice amount of bonus armor from Heartbreaker. But all of these pieces can easily be farmed anywhere, except the Lexington and Rock and Roll. If you don't have the Rock and Roll, you can try your luck with named caches. The Rock and Roll is basically an ACS-12 shotgun, so you can also use that in the meantime. And if you don't have one, you can easily farm one from Countdown. Just set targeted loot to shotguns and you're good to go. Also, one thing I forgot to mention with the Heartbreaker vest, you get the max BPM talent, which increases Heartstopper stacks from 50 to 100. So having the vest will give you a great boost in damage and survivability. So this next build is a fun variation of Striker, utilizing the exotic Ninjabike Messenger backpack. For the weapon, I'm running the St. Elmo's engine, which is one of the most viable exotic weapons in the game. But the greatest feature of the St. Elmo's engine is its ability to provide shock rounds after landing 100 shots. And the shock rounds are extremely helpful. You know, they provide some great crowd control on NPCs. Plus, another great feature of this weapon is its large magazine size. The St. Elmo's engine has a relatively larger mag size than the other weapons in its category. So you get 70 rounds per mag, but with this setup, that gets increased to over 100 thanks to the 50% mag size bonus that you get from unit alloys. So just imagine having over 100 rounds of shock ammo with Striker. Not to mention, it's pretty amazing having that many rounds per mag with shock ammo, plus amazing accuracy, right? The St. Elmo's engine already has great accuracy, and since Striker also grants you 15% weapon handling, it only enhances that. The St. Elmo's engine is one hell of a weapon. With its talent, Actimest, shooting an enemy will give 1 stack. At 100 stacks, the next mag will be 100% filled with shock ammo. But another great aspect of this weapon is its mods. So you get a nice 15% critical hit damage and critical hit chance increase. Plus, with the addition of the unit alloys named Salvo Holster, you'll get an extra 10% rate of fire. And Striker also gives you 15% rate of fire for 3 pieces. So all of that bonus rate of fire brings the RPM up to over 1,000. Now for anyone new, the Ninjabike Messenger backpack works by serving as both my 4th piece of Striker as well as my 3rd piece of unit alloys. So this allows me to get all stat bonuses on both sets. So I get the Striker's Gamble talent and the unit alloy stat bonuses, including the 50% increased magazine size bonus, which wouldn't be possible otherwise, so the Ninjabike Messenger backpack is definitely a viable exotic piece. But it's in the general loot pool, so it can be farmed anywhere if anyone's wondering. For the stats, 55% critical hit chance and 108% critical hit damage on the St. Elmo. And for the gear pieces, armor, critical hit damage with a critical hit chance mod on the Striker mask. Then for the gloves, armor, and critical hit damage, and armor with critical hit chance for the knee pads. And I went with the gunner specialization for the 10% armor on kill bonus. But Firewall is another option if you want the extra damage from the Striker Ballistic Shield variant. So with the Striker Shield, you and all allies behind you will get a damage boost based on the number of enemies in front of your shield. But I figured it would be better to have that extra armor on kill bonus from Gunner for a bit more survivability, but that's just my preference with this particular setup. So I recommend you go with whatever fits your playstyle. This is Prajna. That will do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found these 3 setups helpful. If not, then hopefully these builds could have at least given you an idea or some inspiration for a setup of your own. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them for me in the comment section. And to my channel members, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being a member. But anyway, good luck farming, keep it cool, keep it classy, and see you in the next video. Peace out.